I'm looking forward to this roster. I think that they've got at least some individuals who have been very good in the past. I think Robin, someone not highlighted too often, but again, very high skill level.
Yep.
I remember seeing him, what was it, the NVIDIA Cup? I think they actually eliminated, oh, what was the team? It was the one with like HS and all of them on it. Ah, I can't. Who was Sprout before they were Sprout? Penta, that's who I was looking for. They actually eliminated Penta 2-0 straight off the back of that MDL win. So that was crazy.
We got CTs actually giving up all of middle. So the terrorists find that opening. They push straight forward. They find Lethal in the cubby. And Sir Opsalot, or Smooya, is able to take him down. Now, they've got the bomb site, but they're already boxed in. Hard three-man flank already. They never got long control, so it's for that reason we have Farlig still sitting back there. And then, of course, we've got Frostlev and Cellrate on the long rotation. T-Sac has to take the duel. He has absolutely no option. He's painted into the corner there. And that's going to be difficult for him, right? If he doesn't win that duel, then the long player comes into the bomb site, and they should be able to envelop here on the retake. But T-Sac's distracted, still gets himself the kill. Now he's in a strong position because the CTs have to cross in front of him, and he dishes out the damage. Cellrate gets himself 2, and it's all onto Robin. 1 versus 1 next to the truck, and Robin finds the cover, swaps to the burst, takes it back, and there you have it, Cellrate with the clutch.
He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time. Bomb's going off anyway, so he gets the kills. I love. Did you know what? It makes me so happy seeing the UK flag in game. Like, you have no idea how happy that makes me. And they won a round.
They won the pistol. They won the pistol.
Ah, I am patriotic. I am. Sometimes.
That's good.
Maybe if they win, I'll start singing "God Save the Queen."
I would love your rendition of that, Tom. As a Canadian, I'm right there with you, brothers in arms. But
I do like a good Nova.
Let's see.
I was actually saying earlier to you, I said I missed the Sornov, but I do just miss shotguns in general. XM, brilliant weapon, not used anywhere near enough. And yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm hoping Resin, because they normally don't get a kill when I've hyped it up this much, but he's done a lot of damage at least. Surreal down, just 19 HP. Doesn't have any armor though. And Farlig, we can see he's saving money. He wants to get himself that orb.
Yep, no problem there. These MAC-10s should be able to rip flesh from bone off of the 2 unarmored players, but Frostlev, Lethal, and Cellrate come in with some Kevlar. It might be a bit more of a challenge. Now, last round, we had that immediate flood from the terrorists, straight up ramp into the A-bomb site. This time, they take their time. They clear out the corners, the cubbies, the nooks, the crannies. That's going to get them very close to the site, where they find Lethal, first and foremost, instantly toppled over. Now everybody starts to just come parading inwards, and that nets them the second frag. Unfortunately for Team 123, the terrorists were afforded a lot of space. They got right onto the precipice of the A site, and then immediately clamped down.
Yeah, and in most scenarios, well, for both teams here, I'd be saying, yeah, just save what you got, save what you got. But there's so many MAC-10s. I would just say T's just go try and get rid of some of these weapons. They know they're going to try and hold on to them. Once the clocks tick far enough, Robin's still full HP. Jenko the same position. So yeah, why not? Might as well try and make a little bit of extra cash, make the next round even easier. And the fact is, well, CT side, they didn't actually lose too much here, because it's worth noting Farleg, he didn't have anything anyway. Oh, the Nova's so close. It's so close to 2 kills. $900. It really is a big kill every time, but yeah, they drop the Nova. Remaining 2 players will hold on to their pistols and armor, and the T's don't lose a single player, which, wow, that's a lot of money already put into their bank.
I haven't had much time to really play around with the new shotguns now that they've had the actual, they have a consistent spray pattern now, right? Remember that?
Yeah, sure.
That, isn't shotgun connoisseur literally in your bio?
Let's just say that I don't read a lot of the stuff that Valve put out anymore. Like, once you start just putting out patches which literally just edit negevs, I'm not going to read what you put.
That's fair, that's fair. I like Team 123's ambition here. They go for the old lineup, and they put Cellrate, the player with a deagle, in cover. So now that's actually kind of cool, because obviously the immediate fire from the terrorists would be drawn into the 3 players up close and personal, and then the deagle actually gets the chance to, you know, fire off some shots. If anybody gets a chance, it's the player in the back line. Unfortunately for them, the T's go the opposite way. They find B site for free. Surreal. He sprung his trap, and he gets a bit more cash on that MAC-10. So, TSAC contested as the CTs trickle in, and they do get one kill thanks to the trusty Deagle, but an AK retrieve from Lethal. If you can get out of here with that, it's fruits of his labor. Unfortunately for him, he's boxed in from both the front and behind, and he dies.
Yeah, he had the AK as well, which could have been something a little bit valuable. As you said, though, the gamble doesn't work out. We know how much Valve hates gambling, of course. What up, Phantom Lord? And yeah, we're going to be going into the next round with basically a bye. That's what we want to see. The only problem is, of course, that for the CT side, there's going to be limitations. Utility will take a bit of a hit. Maybe there won't be a kit or something in play. It's not too bad. The biggest problem is normally incendiaries and lack of head armor, which they've actually done all right considering. Obviously, Rezex has to go down to UMP. Fast play coming out from the T-sub. Why not? You've got 2 MAC-10s. Might as well try and do some damage, and they're already going to meet cell rate. That's a fine trade because only a MAC-10 loss. The problem is the bomb down. This gives all the information to the CT side. Straight rotate coming in. Surreal will manage one. The rifle still standing on him. He gets a second as well. This is, bear in mind, a bonus round. They had plenty of money, and he's actually left back into a 1v2.
Could absolutely just leave here, right? Tuck tail and go head back the other way. Instead, he lingers on. Now, this entire situation is made possible by the fact that Cellrate's Molotov was a little bit delayed, the only incendiary in the round, and they extinguished it regardless. You see, of course, now Surreal putting ideas in the head of Team 123. They double back closer side by side. He goes for the jump, and he makes it. I love that movement. Yes. This allows for him to clear up some corners, but the op still drops him. Farley gets the frag. But Surreal gets bonus points. Style points, per se.
Well, yeah, it was actually his teammate, Smooya, who put out a video saying there is a way that you can make that jump every single time. So he's clearly taken tips, and yeah, it works. It's great. The thing is, it's not necessarily like, obviously if you practiced it, as he's shown, you can make it pretty much every single time. But doing it in higher pressure situations like a 1 versus 2 is completely different. That's why I know I would miss that every time.
Absolutely.
Hey, you're supposed to be more supportive than that. Tell me how good I am.
I'm not going to lie. At the end of the day, that's what I am. I'm truthful. The truth may hurt, Tom.
It will set you free as well.
We got some exchange of grenades here towards the drop down. A little bit of a boost attempt from Rezex as he fumbles into the line of fire. He does spot the man in the corner, and he gets them both. Solid. Just goes charging forward, shuts down any drop play, instant 5v3. And remember, last round, that was the freebie, quote unquote, from Epsilon. They had the chance with the extra cash, but this time, they're kind of strapped. It was all invested. Smooya working his way towards long. There's 3 players over here towards the A site. Most notably, that op, of course, on Farlig is going to train down towards ramp. So this allows for the 2 players on the bomb site to both be watching long, where these Ts are about to head.
Name and nature. He's got himself that UMP up close, exactly where that gun becomes more valuable. And Smooya, they haven't given him anything. That's the problem. There's nothing to be found. The bomb being down also makes things so much more difficult. It was the bomb that pushed in individually. And now, well, 2 of the 3 remaining players just going to be left to save. Have you actually noticed that I'm pretty sure that the Epsilon guys have remade their logo in like paint or something?
Yeah, definitely.
That is just awful. It took me a while to notice, though, which may be a testament to the fact
I thought
that
the graphics guy at Epsilon was maybe just a little off. I like the N.
Yeah, that's what gave it away. I think if the N was a little bit better, they could have actually gotten away with that.
I also noticed that Smooya's knife name at Veracity, Jasmine Kanuga.
Ah, yeah.
DreamHack admin. I mean, not just DreamHack. She is very involved. But this was a nice play from Rezex. Obviously, he hits the timing on the head. And what's crazy about that situation, too, is when that smoke was initially put down, you saw the guys from Epsilon actually spam through it, right? So they almost punished him for exactly that. Had they chipped away at his health, then maybe he falls off of the boost and he doesn't decide to commit. But he nails the timing. He gets the best of the duel, and he strikes them both off guard with that single mag of ump. Unfortunate for Epsilon, of course, that he kills the player with the gun out. So the first man who dies to the element of surprise is not being covered by the person with a grenade. Instant 2K. Easy peasy. And here we are, back into the 6th round with still a decent buy. We've got those 3 AKs, MAC-10, and the op for Smooya. Of course, weapons move forward, so surely they reinvest here. But Team 123 are going on the forefront. They are not going into the boost as seen last round, but they look to push on long. And if they push too far, they will find Jenko.
A minute left on the clock. It does seem they're waiting for openers here, and well, we're finally going to see an AWP battle. Smooya is going to be down and out. He was a little bit of a lurk, though. A lurk AWP over on that A side. The rest of the team are trying to make their way towards this B side. But again, the clock's starting to tick a little bit lower. Only Farleg with any utility, but Jenko will manage to find an opener. And now they push into this B side. Quick trade, leaving only one man left. Rezex falls back to the door, and by the looks of things, they're just going to play for the retake.
They do have a bit of utility to play off of. Of course, it's on the Opper, so until the bomb goes down, he's going to keep his scope trained in, which is what prevents them from throwing the grenades. Terrorists have just the double flash, so once the gunfights start to unfold, you can certainly use those to cause distraction, especially Surreal, who's inside drop down. Of course, there's the flash off of the wall, which bounces over here, and you see that, right? First flash makes contact to 2 of 3 sets of eyes. Nobody goes peeking off of it, but now they have confirmation. Robin gets the first, and Rezex trades back, which is not enough to convince them to continue on. They have opted to save their guns here, the sniper and the AK, and this puts Epsilon right back on the board.
4-2. CT side not really with too much of a chance to build up a hefty bank, so they realize quickly, okay, we need to make sure that we have something to go back into this round with. But ultimately, still quite a lot lost for the T's, and there's going to be the chance to reset them once again. So actually, we're coming up to a fairly crucial round. The winner of this round is likely to net the next couple, and that can be the difference between Epsilon getting off to a really strong start on their T side and somewhat running away with this half, or us leveling up the scoreline fairly quickly.
Ooh, Farleg misses his opportunity at getting an early pick. I definitely think that Smooya was trying to hone in on him, because while Farleg never gave him the AWP duel 2 rounds ago, he was firing off his AWP from the connector cubby side. And that's exactly where Smooya went hunting in the previous round when he had his trusty sniper. So he wanted to play the counter AWP, and unfortunately for Smooya, he lost his life. They lost the man advantage, and from there, moved back to the B site. But Smooya again on the forefront here. He's trying to clear up the corners. He saw the trajectory of the grenade, but look at the man up by tree. Cellrate's got the cover, the angle. Does he have the aim? He's actually now got a smoke obscuring his vision. Frostlev is so close to Smooya. Smooya has worked his way pretty much into the bomb site at this point. We are definitely going to watch them shave another 10 seconds off this clock, and then Smooya's looking to strike inwards. But he's got a player in the cubby to his far left, and Cellrate on the tree, who finally sees it. He gets the best of him, drops downwards, doesn't want to give up the man advantage, but Jenko burns out the corner and gets himself 2. Trades back as Rezex gets into the frantic fight. It's a man advantage for Epsilon as they hope to get this bomb plant.
Once again, it comes down to just a 1v1, really. That kill was so crucial from Surreal. Lethal now has to try and take this back. He's got T-Sac and Jenko just waiting back, playing passive. Jenko's already found the spot as well, so all the information will be gathered, and I think the Dane, the second he realizes this, has to just try and fade out of the round. We'll look to save an AWP, which is something for them into the next, but as said, this is the reset round. This is where the money starts to play a part once again, and the T's can start to build back into this.
Jenko did a really good job this round of successfully trade fragging. I mean, obviously Smooya was the man who gets up into the corner, and he never noticed Cellrate. Cellrate even had that delayed reaction, right? So that initial frag was certainly going to help unfold either the hold or the push inwards. But it's Jenko who clears the player out of cubby, also takes Cellrate off from above, and then Surreal comes in with his own 2K within drop down. So it's like, without Jenko, they don't have the entry frags, and Surreal's not playing in a 3 versus 3 situation. And of course, without Surreal, then we would have possibly seen Team123 commit to the retake. But they opt to commit here in this round to the buy. We're gonna get that MP7 UMP Mag 7, and of course the OP and M4. So it's being pieced together. It's at a discount, and it's left them with enough utility to exchange here towards the drop and, of course, platform later on. They're going to try to go back for what worked last time. Rezex with the boost. Surreal set up, and there. That's the difference. Remember, we saw that nearly happen the first time he goes for the boost. However, this time they continue to shoot, not just one burst here or there. No, it's a spray down, and it's a man advantage.
The whole sort of like fool me once.
Yeah. Shame on.
If you do the same thing again, it's almost likely that it will fail. You can sort of look at mind games the other way around. Actually, Lethal wins that battle versus me. He's been trying to be quite sneaky so far. A lot of individual pushes, clearly feeling confident. But will the confidence eventually turn to tilt? He is a man sort of renowned for tilting off the face of the earth.
He is a man of emotion.
Yeah, there you go. That's a nicer way of putting it.
He was also untradeable in that instance, so now his team starts to creep upwards. Cellrate's going to spot this. Mag 7's not going to do much on ramp, so it's definitely going to fall onto Lethal in terms of holding the bomb site. And even the retake made difficult, but here we go. The SMG, the M4, coming to life as Robin clears the site and now looks to give cover to Jenko. He is going to find himself the bomb plant. They have no clue where all these CTs are coming from, and they have all come in from connector.
CT side. The problem is range, but actually Cellrate just runs into the site with that Mag 7, almost as a bit of a distraction initially, and it's the SMG Mag 7. The rifle doesn't even come into play in the end. Great retake from the CT side, and a great round overall. They managed to steal one back, save their economy, and that's going to do a hell of a lot of damage to the British side.
Yep.
Oh, good.
You like saying that, don't you?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said that before.
I think what's really nice about the Mag 7 on Cobblestone is that obviously it belongs in either drop down or over on platform of B site. And you'd think, of course, like coming into a retake scenario that the Mag 7 can be a very real hindrance. And it can, I would say, much more on the B site where you're guaranteed long range of engagement, but think of the positioning there that was taken up from Epsilon. They had players inside the bomb site, and that Mag 7 is allowed to go from door to APC, maybe a 10-foot run, from APC to half wall, another 10-foot run, and then again, he could have come in from different angles. If there was anybody on long A, he's screwed. If there was anybody at the bottom of mid, he's screwed. And so you can kind of, circumvent the disadvantage of a shotgun when you're retaking A site as opposed to B, which means what could have been a hindrance is really not that big of a deal. Obviously, he gets the first, and the MP7 cleans up the last. And now it is the mismatch buy on the other side. Epsilon. Mac 10 and a CZ. They're trying to boost Sir Opsilot over top of the smoke grenade. It sounds like Ocelot.
What, the owner of G2? Or are you talking about the guy?
Opsilot.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
The owner of G2.
Okay. That was a fast round. Everybody just gets absolutely ruined, and Team123, well, they are right back into this game. 4-5. T-side can't really afford to actually invest into this one, and yeah, it's very quiet from Smooya so far, someone we highlighted at the beginning.
Let's see, what has Smooya had the chance to do? He's had the chance at the op duel versus Farlig once, and he lost it. He's saved multiple times. He's been unfortunately down into 3 versus 5 situations. He wasn't able to hit his shot over on platform that round. He snuck forward. And then, of course, there was the one instance where he crept up middle just to die. So he's been in playmaker positions, but he's either,
So basically what you're trying to say is he's an onliner.
I never use those words, and I wouldn't, Tom.
I know, I'm just trying to tell people. It's a lot of fun. Managed to get himself an AK in this situation, though. Doesn't have any armor behind it. Robin sneaking out. Now, Lethal is here with the AWP. He has to be careful. He actually gets taken down. One of the only men actually on this site, and because of that, Robin's going to be able to push through. Froslev misses his spray a bit, and maybe the pistols are going to be there to try and save Epsilon from having an actual economic drought. Farlig will be rotating in. Has an AWP. Definitely not the best case for retakes, and Jenko now in onto the B site. It's going to be able to pincer him from behind.
You can see Farlig, though. He's aware of it. He's wary of this flank. Has to be careful because now it is poised to strike. Jenko not given the opportunity. And the longer he waits, the further these CTs get forward. But the head stack inside the bomb site catches the first off guard, and there you have it. With only pistols, Tom, Epsilon come back. So we said, the importance of that round just 2 rounds prior, the momentum that comes from it, the opportunity it would garner them. Yeah, throw all that out the window. It is...
That's got to tilt you hard.
Yeah. That's the kind of situation where, you could have easily tied up this game at 5 apiece and still move forward with an advantage, right? You wouldn't be having to empty out your coffers in order to invest into this famous M4 op buy, and yet here now you have it, right? You are back to fighting tooth and nail.
But the other thing as well is they've handed so much over to Epsilon that they wouldn't have had. So lots of extra utility, maybe not even an AWP going into that round, I don't think, because the loss bonus would have been minimal. Quick trade as well over towards this plat position. They were really heavily stacked over towards this A site, leaving Rezex as the lone defender. Rotation will come in, but the T's have already got so far out towards this site. TSAC picks up again a double onto the site, and I think the remaining two players, they've got to make the executive decision to just try and hold on to their weapons.
I really don't understand what Rezex is doing in that situation. He has positioning towards the bomb site, and then it looked like he almost wanted to fall back towards drop down. But then, of course, that's when Frostlev shows up to support him. And then somehow Frostlev gets in front of Rezex, which just goes to show like Rezex had given up real estate, but clearly Frostlev wanted to retake it. You see this long flank that was already starting to piece itself together. So that was definitely a miscommunication there. Obviously, if they wanted to at least try to hold the ground to allow for Lethal and Cell Rate to try and come in with a later retake attempt, then Rezex would have just stayed within the bomb site, not given up his back, and possibly had a chance in this round. But they fumble, and they fall. 4 versus 2 turn 2v2 as the round comes to a close. Both these CTs hoping to hold on to their guns. One denied, and one survives. It is the single FAMAS moving forward.
Yeah, and I think Epsilon could sort of afford to do that, like, just because of the amount of money that they were able to save up in the previous round. So you can still see, like, TSAC's going to be left with quite a lot of money. Not normally the person you see at the sort of the top of the board at the moment, but he's definitely having a good performance from his team. Other side of things, we got Cell Rate as well. And yeah, right at the bottom, Smooya. Maybe that name's not so lucky for you, buddy.
It's Sir Opsalot. It's not even Opsalot, it's Opalot. Oh well. Regardless, they get the opening pick. They look to dismantle the B site. They have enveloped it, encapsulated it, and now they look to bust it wide open. Nearly lining up, could have cost somebody a team kill, but they will just easily clean everybody up. It is, of course, a lot of damage taken from Epsilon, but that doesn't mean much at the end of the day. I mean, hell, they even hold on to all their grenades.
Yeah, a very simple round, and I think that's been sort of the difference in a lot of the sort of problems that Team123 have had is they've not really had the economy, whereas Epsilon have been able to rebuy quite a few times every time they have finally lost themselves a round or two. So 8-4, they've won themselves the TSAT. I think in this matchup that's somewhat expected. I don't know what I'm really expecting from the CT side of both of these teams. I'll be interested to see how well practiced Epsilon are. Although they have been fairly happy to play Cobblestone like throughout this team's creation. So
123 as well have been fans of Cobble. So I would say we did definitely end up in the middle ground, and that's the beauty of BO1. Lots of damage being dished out here towards platform, but Smooya will trade a little bit of impact off the op once he has 2 players ahead of him. Maybe he needs a little bit more space created. Regardless, Robin hits a headshot, Surreal taken off of the platform, and Frostlev still stands here to the top of tree, finally cleared out. And again, we see the trades back and forth now as Lethal just dances around this stone. Oh, and he drops the bomb carrier. Smooya, can you clutch?
He's got to be wary that there is a flank coming in as well in the form of Farleg, who could just pretty much ruin his day. He's got to get this kill fairly quickly, and Lethal, I like this. He knows there's a flank coming, so he's just going to hide in the smoke, just lurk around and not allow. Like, Smee has absolutely no idea where he is. This is absolutely brilliant, but Lethal now gets caught out. It won't matter because the teammate has now arrived. I really like that.
That's sick. Yeah, that's an awesome play. I mean, you assume it's the AWP player, right? Smooya did find impact. They fired off that op. And as you said, right, buy time. Hide in the smoke. Because that's actually hilarious. That's a great play.
He's just pulled his mic off. I love that. He had to just, I think it was admin, just like, put my mic back on, please. Come on. Well, we do still have a buy. We saw Team123 actually make this work previously, and a lot of this was down to the more aggressive plays, but Farleg not going to be able to find the opener this time. T's met, and Smooya is just waiting for any further aggression from this side. Not going to be coming. T's more than set up over towards this A side of the map at the moment, and they're looking like they are going to look to pick up this pace a little bit, running in towards the A side. There's a couple of players here, and already with counter nades being thrown in, the CT side have rotated an eye on everybody. Farleg already drops the bomb, a second for him as well, yet to be pincered in from behind, and TSAC is a little bit behind, and because of that, Farleg is just firing off. Already nets himself a 3rd kill of the round with no trade available. Smooya doesn't connect either, and while Farleg is looking to just do this all on his own, only one man left. Smooya with 19 HP, and eventually Lethal will close it.
Yeah, that's Farlig. 4 frags for him in the round. Shuts down the A-site execution, surely. And I would say that unfortunately happens because of the just immediate change of pace, right? We saw them kind of creeping their way in. Smooya was giving a little bit of space to work with. And then almost, you know, in an instant, they just go parading up from ramp, which is fine because you get there before that rotation does come out and emerge from connector. The problem being that Farlig wasn't hit from behind. That long player was so far back that there was no way he could have caught up to the rest of his team. And because Farlig goes uncontested, he picks up 2 frags, turns his attention to the smoke, and at that moment, TSAC comes walking into his death. So Farlig, with his head on a swivel, destroys that last round. And that leads us to the 15th. Of the opening half. Farlig spotting legs on the cross towards lower. Already aware that TSAC is inbound, and again, watch. Farlig has that long control. Let's see what he can do. He does get a second, but Surreal up close knocks him over. Lethal to the APC, then cleared out, and it's a 3v3 regardless of that weak T-side buy.
Not really sure how this has happened. Surreal now with an AWP, and rifle picked up. Smooya definitely not in a bad situation considering what was invested and considering the positions as well. Like you said, there was such strong spots held by Team123. Either way, gotta go for the retake. Robin will just be waiting below the balcony. He has his teammate spotting, and they team up to close this down. Pistols and a MAC-10 is all it took for Epsilon to win themselves a 9th. But definitely a closer half than I somewhat expected. I think both teams with opportunities to get quite a few more rounds, and mistakes versus pistols were enough to actually make this fairly close.
We got things as close as they should be, I would argue. This is actually one of the matchups where I would argue is pretty even keel, right? And that's the situation we have here at a game like Copenhagen Games, where you've got proper seeding done to a huge amount of teams. You're going to get a massive distribution and gap between groups, but this one, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw it on the schedule.
Yeah, like there's a few teams where, like, nearer the top, where you could be like, okay, maybe there's an argument that this team should be, but it's such a small margin that I've got no real complaints. Yeah, like, and when it gets down to like a team 110 or whatever, like, I'm just looking at that going, just like pick a name out of a hat. Like, I don't really know what you do from that point. Like, some of them are, you're not going to know them. There's no chance. So yeah, from what we've seen so far, fairly decent seeding. As you said, I think this will be one of the better games. I think a lot of them are just going to be stomps along the way, but I'm happy to see like Team123 facing off against Epsilon, and now they go on to the T side, and we get to see whether or not Epsilon are actually going to be sort of have more of that team synergy. We know they've got the individual talent, but that's always been the sort of problem.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have to see if 123 have tricks up their sleeves. They come into this one kind of dry. They will have utility for their B-site execution. Smoke and a flashbang, and already, this is a weird setup. CTs are just 4 guys inside connector, ready to respond, but only Jenko with a headshot as of yet. Surreal firing off, gets blocked by the legs in the face of his opponent. Ooh, TSAC with a 1-tap. Give us another. No. Cellrate denies it. 3 Ts survive the round, and they don't even need a bomb plant, Tom. They never had a retake rolling. I think that's a really awkward situation that Epsilon got themselves into. They were all just kind of stranded in the middle of connector, which is helpful in the sense that once you see where the terrorists are, you can all rush forward. But with no control of like chicken coop, with no initial spotting on platform, they are put into a very difficult pickle.
Yeah, full force, of course. CZs and the Deagles. The other side, actually quite heavy on SMGs. Quite a risky strategy coming out from Team123. A chance, of course, to make quite a hefty amount of money, but there's a lot of sort of longer range positions on this map, which will just benefit those Deagles actually over the SMGs. So they do have to be fairly careful with where they look to challenge. Obviously, at the moment, playing fairly patient. They're expecting Epsilon to go aggressive. They're expecting them to look to try and find some information and take some map control. Of course, such limitations on the utility that they can't really afford to, like, oh yeah, let's just wait back and try and slow them down, or let's wait back and not find out anything. They have to find info in these positions. The only thing you have to say from Team123 is, as well, they need to make sure they're not pushing into any sort of stack, because the CZs individually are deadly. If you meet 5 of them, you're screwed.
Which is what I find kind of curious about this, right? We see all this grenade expenditure over towards the danger stairs, but like nobody pushed up into long A. Nobody really tried to feel out the inside of middle. They've all actually opted to come back into the B site, where, of course, Jenko tries to stand. He's got the deagle up. Frostlev pops him. Robin up close will find some kind of an impact, but this is enough to slow them down. We've got 25 seconds to the clock. We've got that long flank from TSAC coming in, and he has that CZ poised and prepared, but he might not expect Farleg in this corner. Ooh, because they've gone down to the 2 versus 4, they've actually opted to save.
Yeah,
unfortunate.
I kind of wonder if even in the 3 versus 4, they should have looked to try and save. Once you lose that B site and you don't have any utility, it's very difficult to clear out all of the angles. Like, you could see the TSAC realize it straight away. It's like, there could be someone close, there could be someone in the corner, there could be someone behind the boxes. Like, there's no way I'm getting out of this position with my life. And if I do, it will have to come down to such a serious mistake from Team123 that it's just not worth it. So I do kind of wonder if it would have been better to just save with the 3 weapons. But I guess they were kind of hoping, okay, maybe if we get a quick kill, then we can get back into this round.
There was a really cool kind of play here that I saw from 123. I mean, you know, I noted that they were throwing grenades into the A site and like kind of the middle ground of A. The meeting grounds between these two teams, and yet they didn't move forward with that positioning. But what that did effectively, right, by throwing grenades to the bottom of middle, it forced Cellrate to go on, or excuse me, it forced TSAC to go on that long flank because he pushed up into long A. Previously, he was actually on the A bomb site, which would have been a faster rotate back to B. So they kind of just, you know, stretched the numbers thin, and then within a 5-second period, just go parading into the B site. So it was a really good way of trying to draw out the CTs. I'm assuming that was their intention since they didn't take the map control themselves, and it worked out fantastically. You saw a little bit of damage being dealt out by the CZs on the B site, but nobody gets those kills. The terrorists just move forward with relative ease, and they've done it yet again. They try to play platform, which draws out the stack, and then a 1 versus 1 duel won by Rezek's inside drop down gives him more space and connector. Of course, Smooya's trying to hunt, but he's gunned down. The fresh mag takes 2, not 3. The CZ bests him as TSAC hits the scoreboard, and both of these counter-terrorists are tagged up in their engagements, so they are definitely out of the round unless TSAC throws heroics the way of 123.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. Surreal, it doesn't actually have that much to save, so it might just be worth trying to hold for an exit, maybe get himself, best case, an AK-47, but it's looking unlikely. Maybe even saving the Kevlar would be worth something, just because normally going into these sort of 4th round buys, you don't have much in terms of utility, you don't have much in terms of kits, but he's going to go pushing in, tries to get something done, and it will be a nice, easy $600 for the T side.
Little bank, little guap, Skrilla, Guala, cash, moolah, whatever you want to call it, Tom, it's his.
Pound sterling.
You are British.
Thank you, I know.
Got a solid buy from both sides. Op per team. Farlig v Smooya. Smoke trajectory is long, all the way to Rock, and they've got a 4-man stack to deal with.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite spots from Surreal, but ooh, you're gonna just opt to slow things down, fall back a little bit. Not wanting to push through the smoke, of course. The risk not normally worth that sort of reward. They have left TSAC sort of as the anchor on this A side. Now, you do see this quite often. It's a very common strategy to just leave one man here, but it does mean that if it's worked out by the T side, they can very easily, aggressively take over this. And getting back into that A side takes like a couple of smokes or a Molotov into that balcony, and you're basically screwed.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, this is now 2 rounds back-to-back where 123 are just kind of using grenades to feel out a certain portion of the map. So they're playing mind games, right? They're trying to outsmart Epsilon. And right now, Epsilon, having stacked 4 players here at the beginning of the round, have opted not to move. They have committed to their guns. Remember, of course, they hold them. This is not pistols, this is weaponry. The initial frags go the way of the CTs. Smooya trying to find something on the platform, hasn't been given a target until Farlig comes rounding the boxes. And a 4 versus 2 situation's not the best look from 123. But Lethal still finding impact. Cellrate finds the upgrade. That op could definitely deal some damage here. If he can pluck Smooya out of the chicken coop, oh, Lethal does it for him. Now the problem becomes the bomb. They've got 10 seconds to make this cross. It's low HP and the player's on the site, but Cellrate hits another. He's gonna have to commit to the plant. Robin charges it and he comes off. Nearly enough. If only, Tom, he had won that duel. He didn't want the plant, he wanted his win.
Yeah, fair enough, really. It was so close to actually managing to take that one through, but it will be the CT side just about winning it. The problem is, that was somewhat of a bonus round for the T side. They still have enough money to buy straight back into this one. They'll come in with flat AKs across the board, plenty of utility. And you look at the other side, to see 3 UMPs coming in when you've just won a round is always going to be painful. It gives them, of course, the extra utility, which on a map like this I feel is so crucial. But now the T's, well, this is where they can look to just reset Epsilon, go back into this half even stronger, and take the lead, pretty much.
Forward positioning here from Epsilon over towards long. Smooya going to be contested. The flashbang went high, his shot astray. Still they continue inwards, and he gets himself the first. Now TSAC trades at the expense of almost all his life. 5 health was what he was left over with, and that sets the CTs scrambling. Over towards the A site they shall go. Even the man who was committed towards B will now just rest outside of drop. But he hears the pressure of grenades into this room. So he elects to head over towards the platform. That's going to give him a lot of information. And now we have a very spread defense here, as thin as could be. 1 player per bomb site, and that floater of Robin inside middle. 40 seconds means they don't have to rush this. They can just walk as close as they can and then strike once they make contact.
Snuck so far. Lethal already going to execute one of these remaining players, and while Jenko is slowly being surrounded by T players, but they actually don't know he's there. He'll drop the bomb. Only 20 seconds left on the clock, but the rotation from Surreal is not going to be able to do anything in terms of denying it. We'll come down to the retake. He does have an incendiary, and both players actually towards that site, so he should at least be able to clear out one. The problem is, I imagine the second this is thrown, they'll opt to peek together, or at least I hope they do. It's more of a sell one out to dry. In fact, Froslev goes down. Rezek's just going to sit in the corner. The only problem is Surreal will have absolutely no idea. Surely, would you expect 2 players to be on the site? I know I wouldn't, so just sat in the corner, and he'll get baited into position. It's a sort of, it is a real throw your teammate under the bus strategy. But it does work. Yeah,
go die and fire. And then I'll hold off in the back of the bomb site. Maybe, based on where the bomb was planted, he could have figured that out. But obviously time was the biggest issue. And now the problem's money. Score is all tied up at the cusp of double digits. We have Epsilon back in with pistols. Now, they've won a round like this before, so do not count them out. Of course, that was back on the T side, when things were different, when they set the pace and the tempo. Now they've got to have to deal with whatever comes their way. And if there's one thing I think 123 have been doing fantastically is making the most of their grenades. Whether that's to try and commit CTs to a certain side of the map, whether that's to draw out rotations, or even now to try and pummel players off of plat. Those frag grenades deal 0 damage. They threw 3 of them, but you've still got a collection of smokes and Molotovs poised to be thrown.
CT side, of course, such limitations that it is just going to come down to their individual skill. And while already over towards that A site, TSAC probably will have heard all the footsteps. Yeah, well, he knows that they're there. The problem is, can he do anything to deal with them? The SMGs just probing out the map, clearing angles, finding a lot of information. He's still trying to hide in this corner, but he's got so many angles still left to check. Does actually win the battle, though. Ag can get away and steal an AK-47. Surviving in these backlines is going to be so crucial, but he goes down. Froslev is there for the trade. In the meantime, Robin has got himself onto the site, drops one more, and a second as well. CZ ludicrousy, and leaves it onto Froslev and Rezek to try and save this. But now the time's against them as well. It acts as that 5th member of the Epsilon side, as they now have to try and push on, retrieve that bomb and clear them out for the site. And the second they get anywhere near, you can see the CTs look to try and pounce. Rezek will find one, but again, this clock is just ticking away. He gets a second as well, and they will be able to get onto the site, but the CTs are going to go running. They want to stop this from happening, and that's exactly what they will do.
Man, time, the biggest issue there. Very well done from just the pistols of Epsilon. We said they've won those rounds before, right? So that is now twice that 123 have let Epsilon back into the game. And this time, here's the biggest issue. When it happened in the first half, the result of it was both teams were able to buy with all the money they had left over, and things were quite even. This time around, Epsilon have a huge advantage moving forward. I mean, that was not just a possibility back into the game, that was near guaranteed here. Unless Epsilon have done to them what they did to 123, they should be good to rock and roll. They're dodging the flashes towards Platt. Surreal opts to fall off of his boost, and now he's in the smoke. So it's kind of weird, up close versus Pistoleros. The CZ so deadly, but they line up. Traded 1 for 1 until Smooya comes in with 2. Farlig already tagged and dealt with. That's Epsilon's round. 2 guys up at the end means a bit of cash moving forward, but more importantly, they're starting to erect themselves a lead.
Yeah, I think this is like the second time in this game where a sort of pistol buy from Epsilon has really saved them.
Yep.
Like it's every time it's been a strong economic point coming in for Team 123, their chance to build up some money, they lose to pistols, and that sets them back quite a bit. And I think when they look back at this game, if they do end up losing, or even if they don't, it's going to be one of those talking points of, okay, if we need to sort those out already. Smooya, CT side AWP, expecting quite a bit more from him on this CT side, and he has already found that opener. T's already with somewhat of a lackluster buy, some limitations to utility, some limitations to weaponry as well. We've got a Galil. Yeah. What's your opinion on the Galil?
I hate Galils.
You hate Galils.
I hate them.
I genuinely would rather play with an SMG.
I'm actually a fan of the FAMAS. I'm all for it.
I don't mind playing with it, but
it has a place.
Yeah,
it has a
I
place.
think but then again, a lot of the positions that you can play with either a CZ or a UMP seem to just be more valuable.
It's just the Galil's only place is in the depths of hell.
So where the PP Bison belongs as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Grenades in the hands of T-Sac, wants to respond, and as the grenades go sailing past him, he gets his M4 out in time, but he can't hit the headshot. Frostlev creeps beneath him, and now we've got a chance for 123 to get back into this fight. However, Smooya knows there's at least one player by Humpty Dumpty. In fact, there's 2. They boosted one up and over. Tries to get fancy with the wall bangs, but because he retreats into connector, they have no footing towards the bomb site. Rezex has a strong position, but opts to fall off because Surreal comes inwards. And now do they expect Cellrate to also be back there? He's low HP, just like Frostlev, and now it is only him left over. He reveals himself, and he is cleaned up for it. Solid retake coming out from Epsilon. 4 guys alive at the end of that one, and 3 points to the lead now of 123. They are pulling ahead, Tom. They are pulling ahead.
Yeah, I think just the afterplants there, it may have worked as a bit of a surprise factor. As you said, they may not expect these positions, but like from where all of the CTs were pushing, if you had one player down the bottom of ramp, I don't think there's any way that Epsilon win that round, because they would have had to take in a straight fight with a man down ramp with everybody pushing out the door in the balcony. So again, it's such a powerful position to have in an afterplant. I feel like they needed somebody down there. And then if you have the boost and somebody down there, I don't think there's any way that they lose that round.
Nope, you're absolutely right. However, a slight gap in the defense causes it to crumble. Nice little collection of pistols here. A couple tidbits of utility could be enough unless Smooya hits his shots, but after the first bullet fired off, he opts to fall back here. Now, T-Sac still holding on to long. Robin burns lethal alive, and yeah, sure enough, they're cleaning up these kills. But there's still an opening until Frostlev gets shut down. That leaves Rezex all alone. And oh, he wants the gun. He gets his hands on it, but he's been spotted and dealt with. The wall bang from Smooya seals the deal, and that is 14 rounds now for Epsilon. We said this was really close, and it was in the 15 rounds that opened things up, but the CT side of Epsilon has just been really solid lately. 4 rounds in a row. I mean, barring the pistol and conversion and that initial little force war, it has been Epsilon all day.
Yeah, I think props really do have to go to T-Sac in these situations, because it looks like in a lot of these rounds he's just getting hung out to dry, but he's still managing to find like multi-frags and still managing to do enough damage that like, for example, in that round, if he goes down with nothing, they lose. Like, again, it's like well, maybe not, but either way, it's much more likely. Cellrate has found the opener. He's been pretty good so far, and Surreal now left in the same spot, has to get multi-frags and does. Leaves Jenko on the site and the rotation already in from the CT side, and It looks like the T's have just crumbled. They had so much map control. They had the man advantage. Question is, can they bounce back from it?
Jenko's still got a bit of shaky positioning on the bomb site. Again, he throws out a grenade, so that's going to tell them that he is still there. He's got to be committed, and there's only one place he can be hiding. Don't move, Jenko. Oh, his head. What? What? How has this happened? Farlig's now tagged up to 16 HP, and Smooya has a full bar. Sure, Jenko's already lit, but he's just buying time here. 45 seconds, a blinding flashbang, and now Smooya strikes in from behind, so Rezex works his way forward. He hasn't hit the shots, and somehow Jenko keeps himself alive there.
Hello.
They look as puzzled as we are. Like, how does he not get his head ripped clean off? That's crazy. Nice positioning from Surreal as well. Strikes in from behind. And now this is their chance. 5 rounds in a row is what the Danes will need.
Yeah, and it's another one of those sort of sketchy jumble sale buys where they've just had to invest whatever they can. They've got the SMG, they've got a CZ, and rifles on the remainder at least. And by the looks of things, maybe just back to a few more basics over towards this B site. Every single member of the team there. I do think they've had more success over here. I think TSAC has been hard to deal with, and Smooya definitely waking up a little bit with that AWP. Surreal looking to try take a bit more aggression over towards this plat position. To be a little bit careful though. No, it looked like Robin was going to get overwhelmed, but he holds on to drop, and that's going to be crucial.
He has no clue where he is when he comes out of that flashbang. Lucky to be alive. Not only alive, but to have gotten a kill in the process. Sets his team up well. We do still have 3 CTs on this B site, and again, 1, 2, 3 are kind of set scrambling. Like, you're at a man disadvantage. You have no map control whatsoever at A site because you've had your target set on B. And, of course, you've lost that initial drop-down play. So you're still in the same position you were at the start of the round, just with a man less than your opponent. So really tough spot for them to be in. And Robin looks to strike in from behind if need be. Actually opts to rotate into the bomb site. And that pulls a player off of A, where the bomb starts to head.
Is it a boost? Surreal will pick up one. Yeah, where's TSAC currently playing? Is he boosted up? Either way, I think it's going to be difficult to get into the site, especially with the bomb pushing in that direction. Yeah, he is. That's just horrible. There's no way of getting out of that. But they do manage to trade him. But now the remaining player, Rezex, completely surrounded. And Epsilon, they will take things in a 16-10 scoreline. Decent final result. But yeah, I feel like there's definitely talking points in terms of Team123, because I think if they just go back and like fix a few of the problems in terms of like those pistol round losses, like obviously you have to give props to Epsilon as well for winning them, but there was a round where they won with like barely anything. I think it was just straight like almost standard pistols.
Couple P250s.
Yeah, and then there was obviously the round not too long before the end where they lost a round to like Deagles and CZs, and it's like